ऑक्सफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी में एक दिलचस्प गुफ्तगू में कविता ने चीफ मिनिस्टर के चंद्रशेखर राव की दूरंदेश क़यादत में तेलंगाना की तब्दीली की दास्तान को शेयर करते हुए जामे तरक्की की तलाश तेलंगाना मॉडल के नमूनों पर रोशनी डाली। तेलंगाना मॉडल, जैसा कि उन्होंने बयान किया है, मुतवाज़िन तरक्की का एक मजहर है जिसमें बुनियादी ढांचे की तरक्की को फलाह व बहबूद के साथ जोड़ता है। कविता ने कहा, हमारी मादर वतन हिंदुस्तान, हमारी भारत माता के नागुज़िर उरूज में मुझे यकीन है कि केसीआर जैसे सच्चे सियासतदानों की क़यादत में जो तेलंगाना के ममार हैं, हम अपने तमाम साथी शहरियों के लिए सबसे ज्यादा खुशहाल मुस्तकबिल बनाएंगे।
So I'm very happy to be here, to be presenting today. And as all of us know, Oxford is a very age-old institute, which is an institution which is reputed across the world for its research. And very happy to be here because when I speak about Telangana, when I speak about development, in fact, me and Professor were having a off-the-record chat just right now and talking about why do we only talk about developing nations, why not compare it with the developed nations, etc. So there's a lot of theories about it. But practically what I have seen in Telangana, I think bears a lot of weight, and that can be discussed, the model can be discussed across the nation. That is the hope and aspiration that I came here with. Otherwise, it's a very busy time in elections, but I took out some time to come here to make sure that if at all this model and the strategies that we applied for the ground path-breaking development that we have done in Telangana in a very small time, if that can be discussed, I think my one-day travel is totally worth it. So first of all, very happy to be here, and when I am here abroad, I believe I not only represent my state, but I represent the country. And India, which has a very, very rich history of cradling a lot of luminaries from Lord Buddha to Jyotiba Phule to Dr. Ambedkar to Rabindranath Tagore to Jhansi Lakshmibai, Mahatma Gandhi. We can talk about Nagarjuna, who's propagated his Shunyavada philosophy across the world. We can talk about Aryabhatta, who's contributed a great deal to the world mathematics. So when we think about all these great people that our nation has produced, really feel proud to be representing India here. Very happy, very that we are able to continue the legacy of both that enlightenment and that innovation that our luminaries have given us. I just hope we can walk on their path and make them proud. And when we think about the luminaries from India, we cannot but ignore Chanakya. His policies, his theory is known as Chanakya Niti, who spoke of governance for the welfare of the people and society. Sometimes it's used in a negative connotation, but when taken in a right sense, it speaks about the welfare of the people and society, and especially his Ardhashastra that provides timeless insights into the responsibilities of a statesman, a guidepost, I think, that echoes in the visionary leadership of our Telangana Chief Minister, K. Chandrasekhar Rao also. We call him KCR very fondly, so here on I'll refer to him as KCR. And today I'm sincerely both humbled and also honored to stand before you at the prestigious University of Oxford to share the journey of my homeland, Telangana, and how collectively the vision of our people of Telangana under the leadership of KCR has set a model for a most integrated, inclusive and equitable development. I mean, many people dream about equitable development. We saw it happening, and that's a proud moment for me. I will try and attempt to talk about how Telangana was formed and then talk about what were the issues that were the most important challenges and how we went on to address it. Well, Telangana is a long fought journey. Although the state was formed in 2014 in June 2nd, it was a 5-decade-long fight. We were a separate state called Hyderabad state. We existed as a separate state even after Indian independence until 1956. And we were a prosperous state, we were doing good. But then in 1956, a conditional and a forcible merger happened with our neighboring Andhra Pradesh. Then, of course, since then, somehow the merger was never happy, made anybody happy. We were constantly struggling, we were constantly raking up the demand of a separate statehood. That kind of led to a very inequitable development. we've always had this grouse that we did not get our share, and we constantly started raising the issue. But then, of course, in 2001, Honorable KCR had given a proposal to the people of Telangana that why don't we fight in a very peaceful but a political battle to make sure the statehood is achieved. People have blessed him, people have stood with him, and we fought under his leadership from 2001. And of course, the central government at that point of time, or the party was aspiring to be coming back to power at that point of time, they promised to support this demand for the first time. So in 2004, it was for the first time ever that central government acknowledged that the demand for Telangana state exists, and they agreed and they put it in the common minimum program. But then, of course, after the elections, they chose to disregard the demand. They reneged back on their word, and they shattered the hopes of people of Telangana. So KCR had to come out, then go on to the fast until death in 2009. Then the announcement of Telangana had happened. Well, the separate statehood movement was full of flip-flops. From 2009 until 14 also, we were constantly seeing this turmoil happening. But finally, in 2014, June 2nd, the state was formed. So this is exactly 9.5 years back. And when we look back in 9.5 years, how was Telangana? Because I was just interacting with people here, and she was very happy. Sorry, I don't know your name. Sahishnavi was very happy that she visited Hyderabad and she's seen unprecedented growth. But in 2014, that was not the story. In 2014, the story was out of 10 districts of the state, 9 were declared backward by the central government. 2 districts, Khammam and Mehboob were categorized as the most hungry in the country. And the agriculture and allied sector, which supported around 46% of the population of the state, it was under severe distress, and the farmer suicides were number 2 in the country. It was very unfortunate, but that was the state of affairs. And we were a severely power distressed state. The shortage of power was around 2,700 megawatts, which ultimately led to a power cut of about 4 to 8 hours across the state. And that resulted in industries being shut at least for 2 days in a week, so they could operate in shifts. And neither we had adequate surface water for irrigation, nor did we have enough water for the drinking water. Also, of course, when your whole 9 districts are backward, revenue of the state was in shambles. So that was the situation in 2014, and that was the situation in which we inherited the state. But then what did we do? How did we change that situation from being a power deficit state, from being a state which had no drinking water, from being a state which had no irrigation water, now to a power surplus state, now to a state where we are number 2 in paddy production? How did that transformation happen? And that is the story I'm here to share with all of you. And the leader, KCR, he was an agitator. He was constantly agitating for the state. He has a very sharp wit and a sharp tongue. So he never spared anybody during the agitation. So people did have this fear that what will happen once the Telangana state is formed? How will the rest of the Hyderabad, rest of the people will be taken care of? But what I have seen for any society to transform, the prerequisite is that the leader of that state should understand how to convert his negativities into positivities. And I've seen that change happening in my own leader. Overnight, from an agitator, he became an administrator. He made a statement saying, everybody is equal to me. He stopped using sharp words. He worked in silence. He worked with strategy, which he was always known for. And he worked with commitment and dedication. I think that is a prerequisite that undertook this paradigm shift. And of course, I am very well aware that I am standing in the Department of Economics, so I can't be giving flowery speeches. I should throw in some hard numbers at you. So I will do that too. But I'll have to tell you that from 2014, the careful balance of government spending, both in investing in infrastructure and also welfare, I think that took the state to the next level. So when we talk about the growth of Telangana in the last 9.5 years, the average of Indian GDP, when you look at all the 9 years, is 118.2% in the last 10 years, from 2014-15 to 2022-23. Whereas the Telangana's average is 155.7%. That's the increase of GSDP. So we always grew over the national average in the last 10%. So our contribution of Telangana state to the central's GDP grew from 4.1% in 2014 to 4.9% now in 22-23. But then the population was constant, it's 2.9 since 2014 till date. So that being constant, this contribution to GDP is the actual wealth or the contribution of my state to the country. Well, other than that, of course, economists take seriously the per capita income of any nation or state. So in 2014-15, we were at 1,12,162. Now, this year, we are at 3,17,115. So we have literally doubled the per capita income of our people. And this is in less than 10 years. But then see, per capita income also at times can be deceiving because growth could be stagnated in few people's hands and not everybody probably gets a benefit of the growth. So there is a concept called as Gini coefficient. The lower it is, the better it is for the people. The lower it is, that means everybody gets enough share of the income. I'm very proud to tell you that my state, Telangana, ranks #1 amongst all states in terms of equitable income distribution. And our Gini coefficient is 0.10, which is literally on par with the Nordic nations or even better than most of them. So this is the thing that makes us all happy. The poorest of the poor is getting the benefit. Everybody is getting the benefit. And how did we achieve this? My personal love and India is an agrarian nation. We have to understand the fact. Any investment that we make has to be in agriculture. It cannot be ignored. That factor is taken very seriously in Telangana. 46% of our population is into agriculture. So we've made very, very serious investments in agriculture. In 2014, when we started, our agriculture growth was minus. It was minus 0.7%. And now, when you look at 2023, it is 37% in positive. So we have grown leaps and bounds in agriculture. And agriculture allied sectors, it could be dairy, fisheries, meat, poultry, etc. That we have grown by 13.3%. That was also negative, but we've grown now. And the best part is even during COVID, we've kept on growing at 15.7%. And this is primarily because government intervened and procured every last grain of the crop or the yield that the farmers got. So they didn't have to go around trying to sell it, but the government purchased it, and that is how the farmers got the money. And when we talk about agriculture, as usual, most of the economists don't agree. I believe economists, most of them are very elitist. When somebody wants to give an incentive to a person who is investing 2,000 crores in a company, that is fine. But when a government wants to offer an incentive to a farmer with 2-acre land, that is somehow looked down upon. But in Telangana, we've decided to hold the hand of the farmer from the tilling of the soil to the yield of the crop. So even before they start tilling the land, we give them investment incentives. And I'm very proud to tell you that 10,000 rupees investment that we give per acre per farmer every year, till date, in the last 9.5 years, 72,815 crores was directly given to 65 lakh farmers of Telangana. So this was the first step to make sure the farmer does not walk into the debt trap. So private debt is usually taken before they start tilling the soil. That is when the government intervenes and gives the money. Then when you look at every process, the quality of the seeds, Telangana is the only state which actually puts a PD Act, preventive detention cases if somebody sells spurious seeds. It was a serious issue during before Telangana state formation, and we've controlled it. So quality seeds we give, timely availability of fertilizers to the farmers we give, and of course surface water for irrigation is given. And I'm very proud to tell you today that we are the only state, or probably we are the only government across the world which gives free water. There is no water cess on the irrigation water to the farmers. And we also give 24 hours free electricity. That again is there nowhere in any country. There is subsidized electricity for agriculture, but Telangana is the only government which gives free electricity, 24 hours free electricity to the farmers. So the farmer is now secure. He understands that he's going to get free electricity, free water, in time, quality seeds, in time, quality fertilizers. Before he tills the soil, he knows that he'll get the investment input from the government. He doesn't have to go for a private debt. So the farming is done in a much more secured manner. The most important thing, other than all of these factors, is a farmer who has a 1 acre land or a 2 acre land or a half acre land. Earlier also had the land in his name, but the records were never clear. In India, in many of the states, it is still the issue. So if a farmer has to go for, raise a loan for anything, for a child's education or for some personal use, banks will not give him loan. Despite having a land, he will never get a loan. But the biggest revolutionary step Telangana government has taken up, we've introduced blockchain technology to map the land holdings of each and every farmer. And today, I'm very proud to tell you, 98 to 99% of all the farmland records are cleaned up and properly digitized by the government. And it is only with the fingerprint of the farmer that the records can be changed. So nobody can mess with your record, and there is a sense of security to the farmer, and the banks also can give loan to him. So he has access to additional finance if he wants to. So this sense of security net that we provided the farmer, I believe, is what led for the exceptional growth in the agriculture sector in Telangana. And of course, other than that, there are around 45,000 ponds in Telangana, which the government systematically invested and repaired using a scheme called Mission Kakatiya. And then we've linked all these ponds with the major irrigation canals that we built. So the ponds are full of water 365 days in a year. So in the staunchest of the summer today, you can go to any Telangana village blindly. You'll see the pond is full of water. And that has led to increase in the water table, increase in fisheries farming, which is again supporting the rural livelihood. And of course, it is supporting the farming activity as well. So check dams, minor irrigation projects constructed, canals repaired, and the magic out of all of this is we managed to construct the world's largest lift irrigation scheme within 3.5 years of time. That is the largest and biggest achievement. The moment this lift irrigation scheme is built, we got 73 lakh acres of land connected to the irrigation system in the state. So 73 lakh acres earlier, before the Telangana state formation, for them to get one crop in a year was an aspiration, was a dream. But today I'm so proud and so happy for my farmers because they can get 3 crops, not one, but 3 crops. And that is why with a systematic, I'll just throw one number at you for your interest. Overall, before the state formation, from 2004 to 14, those governments, whoever was there, irrespective of the parties, those governments, the investment that they made in agriculture was 7,994 crores. But Telangana government in the last 9.5 years, we invested 1,91,612 crores in agriculture. So a policy, however powerful it could be, however positive it could be, if it is not backed up by your purse, the purse of the government, it is not going to work. So that is what Telangana government did. We framed powerful policies, we framed good policies which will help the people, but then backed it up by the finance. So the outlay and the way to spend it, that management, that efficiency in the governance, that is what set us apart, and that is what today gave the results. As a result, now the area under cultivation increased from 1.31 lakh acres to 2 crores because it's consecutive seasons we are talking about. That's why the number will be double. And of course, the paddy production increased from 68 lakhs to 2 crores metric tons in next slide, please, in 2021. So we are today the highest, second highest, so this is 2 crores. So we are today the second highest paddy producing state in the country. We are only competing with Punjab. Where are you, Sanam? We are competing with Punjab. So, and then of course today irrigation facilities, as I said, are available to 73 lakh acres. But then next time, once the Palamur lift irrigation scheme is done, then we will be able to connect 50 lakh more acres to that network. And once that is done, you can imagine what Telangana is going to grow, nothing short of gold. So one other important thing that we did, whatever revenue came to the government, we used it in a very positive way to make sure the cycle of prosperity continues, to make sure that the multiplier effect of the investment is properly taken care of. So in 2014, our budget was 62,000 crores. Now it has grown to 2,94,000 crores. And that is again made systematically invested into various projects, starting from drinking water, in which we invested 36,000 crores to make sure that every household in Telangana is connected. So most of us who have faced the power cuts, we know the problem and the pain and why we don't want to go to the villages in Telangana. But then that has transformed now, because Telangana government has very systematically invested 38,000 crores in the last 9.5 years to make sure that our power production capabilities increased. This one. So our power production, when 2014 we started, we could only produce 7,778 megawatts of power. But now we are producing 18,453 megawatts of power. And of course, we are focused on renewable energy as well. So in 2014, we only had 74 megawatts of renewable power. Now we are able to produce 5,741 megawatts of power. And with the industrial growth, our per capita power consumption, this number has grown to 2126 units. So that is highest in the nation and also almost equal to most of the developed nations. That is an indication that industry is doing well. Most of the individuals are doing well. So that is one of the international indicators. And I'm very happy that Telangana got there. And then when we look at the environmental challenges, world over, we are conscious that the world's biggest challenge in terms of climate change is taking collective responsibility. And people and Telangana government are aware of this. And we have systematically again invested 10,000 crores in a program called Telangana Ku Haritaharam, where we planted saplings, 280 crore saplings. And we made sure we fenced our forests. We made sure we thickened our forests. We made sure, in fact, when they plant saplings in the villages, incentives of watering the plants of like 2 rupees, 2.5 rupees also is given in the villages. And we should be very proud. Telangana is the only state, probably in the world, where in every village you find a government nursery which is there and a park that is built by the government. It is a must and should. Every Telangana village, all the 13,000 villages, you go anywhere, that is available. So that is how we have increased our forest cover by 7.7% with a very, very systematic drive of this and investment. And when I look at problems like California, where they don't have water, I feel, why don't they invest? They can make policies, they can invest. And this is why I was very excited to come to Oxford, because anything that is discussed here can go world over. And if somebody draws inspiration from this model, I think it will help people across the world. And speaking of the industry, this is again very important, because not only farming, not only upskilling, but we need to create wealth in order to take care of the poorest of the poor. We need to create wealth. And the wealth creation today, services sector, industry sector, it is very important to make sure that industries feel welcome in Telangana. We came up with a policy, TSI Pass, and this policy is very empowering, not only our people, but also industry. For example, if I'm coming here from UK, I want to invest in Telangana, you apply for a permission. Within 15 days, if I can't give you permission, then you have every right to open your company, you can start operating. Because by law, if you do not receive the government permission within 15 days, we have made it a statutory right to go ahead and commence the work. And this has really inspired a lot of companies. Many of them have come to Hyderabad, Telangana, they've invested. And I'll throw some numbers at you. From 2014 till 2023, January, 22,100 industrial units were given permission. Almost all of them have started operations, and the investment worth 3,31,000 crores, that is close to USD 40 billion, is what a small young state like Telangana could attract. And the jobs created, these are direct jobs I'm talking about, or 22 lakhs 36,000. There will be more than that indirect jobs that will be created, and of course the activity that brings and the cities they build, that is the growth that you actually see and perceive when you visit Telangana. And of course IT, we've progressed leaps and bounds. The IT exports in 2014 were 57,000 crores. Today we are at 1,83,000 crores. Top 5 IT companies, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, 4 of them came to Hyderabad after Telangana formation and after the TSI pass was rolled out. So that clearly is a success of the policy and also clearly a success of visionary leader like KCR Garu. And of course, one other thing that might interest you, Professor Jain, we are the only government probably which has a government-led incubator which can accommodate about 4,000 startups at any point of time. We have T-Hub 1 and 2, and of course we have a exclusive women women incubator. It's called V-Hub. That is again government-led, government-supported, government-mentored. So access to finance, training, mentorship is also all taken care by the government. This is also very unique. Nowhere across the globe you see that. And of course, not only making sharp policies, our leader is a person not only with the highest IQ, but he has the highest EQ as well. So he thinks with his heart. I would say that because also I'm his daughter, I understand how he thinks. He has a very sharp intellect, but when he sees a humanitarian situation, he will not think about anything, he'll directly jump into it. For example, I'll tell you, one day we were just discussing, I had received an application of a person who is suffering with elephantiasis, where one leg gets very fat, they can't move. It is a disease, but then that person kind of cannot move out of the house and not work. I just asked our leader that this is a situation, how can we help them? With one pen stroke, immediately 80,000 such people across the state started getting pension from that very day and moment. So that is the emotions with which our government works. And we are probably the only government where, unfortunately, if somebody passes away in a government hospital, we have a special vehicle to transport the dead body from the government hospital to the village, to the doorstep of a person. It's a special vehicle that is there. It's a special drive. And another thing, this is again my leader's brainchild. Pregnant women across Telangana, institutional delivery was missing. So to make sure that they come to the government hospitals, to make sure that the delivery happens institutionally, we've designed a program where the healthcare worker literally brings the pregnant women for every checkup in a government ambulance to the hospital, takes them back, drops them at home. I'm sure this does not even happen in UK, where we know and understand, one of the best healthcare systems in the world. But the way we take care of our pregnant women, nowhere else in the world anybody takes care of them. Because my district magistrate, my collector, sits in his office on his dashboard. He knows how many deliveries are happening today in the government hospital. So that is the kind of work that is happening in Telangana. And during COVID, I should make a special mention. So when we knew that COVID was hitting and transport is becoming difficult, so we mapped out all the women who were going to be delivered in 15 days, and then we brought them into the hospitals, put them in safe zones, made sure the delivery happened institutionally, and then sent the mother and the baby home very safely. So these are the kind of disruptive, positively disruptive interventions that this government is taking care of. And I'll just give you one more example, and this again, with one pen stroke, my leader could make it happen. Telangana was a parched state. We did not have enough drinking water. It was a dry region. There was a lot of fluoride issues happening in many districts. So many people suffered with kidney diseases. There are still a lot of dialysis patients in Telangana. But in the combined Andhra Pradesh, until 2014, until Telangana was formed, across Telangana, we only had 3 government dialysis centers. When we brought this thing to the attention of our leader, with one pen stroke, he sanctioned 104 dialysis centers across Telangana, and we immediately gave free bus pass to all these dialysis patients. We made sure that they got the most modern care in all these dialysis centers. In the most costliest of the private hospitals, they reuse the machinery for dialysis, but not in Telangana government hospitals. We do it a one-time use and we take care of our patients. And this has really earned a lot of goodwill for the government and the leader. And Of course, in every government, we are giving, people try to give pensions, but there is no reason or rhyme or the um, positive effect of the pension that the pension would give. Because in 2014, before 2014, when we saw, there were various governments which were giving pensions starting from 70 rupees to 200 rupees to person, which did not really make any difference in their lives. So I gave a number here. In 2014, there were pensions given to 29 lakh people, but the rollout was only 861 crores per year. This is per annum. But in Telangana government today, we give pensions to 44 lakh 12,882 people, but the rollout is 11,628 crores. So unmatchable number, amazing number, which again creates a very positive impact in the lives of the peoples. So this is the positivity that this government is bringing in. And of course, when we talk about education institutes, we only wanted to see one result, that at least 50% of the kids go to the government schools. So we wanted to give a stiff competition to private schools, and we did. Today, this year, 2023, 50% of the kids are opting for government schools. 50%, of course, are still going to the private institutions. But then there are many numbers that I can give you. The best number that I like, we added 10,000 medical seats, very fresh this year, because in every district headquarters, we wanted to put up a medical college. And before 2014, I can't even begin to tell you, I'll just give you one number. For the backward classes, across the state, we had only 19 institutes. Next slide, I think. 19 institutes. But now we have 310 institutes for just the backward classes, I'm saying, and other numbers I have. But then the number of students, if you look at, earlier it was addressing, the governments were addressing 8,000. Now we are addressing and attending to 1,65,610 students. So these are the kind of numbers, these are the kind of interventions that we are making. I know there's a lot of data and I can keep going, but then I'll have to summarize because we need to close by 8. What I feel is the vision of KCR and this model transcends, all economic matrices. It just touches a human angle in governance. And I understand in economics, we always talk about the scarcity drives you to make certain choices. We did have scarce resources when we became a state. We were in dire condition. We were in distress. But the choices that we made led us in a very right way. And we hung on, we held on to those choices. And that is how we are able to create wealth today. And I believe a leader or a society should know how to harness the power of the raw resources that nature gives you into real wealth. I'll give you one example. Godavari river, Pranahita river was always there. It was there before KCR, it is there now, it will be there after KCR also. But the way KCR could build a world's largest lift irrigation project in 3.5 years and could irrigate 73 lakh acres just within a period of 3.5 years, no other leader thought about, no other government thought about. So that is the difference I'm talking about. How do we as a society harness the raw power of the nature that bestows us, and how do we convert it into real wealth? So today, whatever is grown in those 73 lakh acres, that is the wealth of our state. And that is how our GDP is growing. That is how we are growing as a nation. So, the Telangana model, when we talk about, the core of this model is to harness the existing resources that we have. And that I believe we've done wonderfully. And we are fighters. We fought for Telangana. We are fighters. We are fighting for the development of Telangana. And there is a joke in general about governance. They say if there is a bad government and you give them Sahara Desert, what happens is they'll create a scarcity of sand also. So that is bad governance. But when you want to look at a good governance, you should come to Telangana. I invite you, Professor Ji, please come to Telangana with your entire department. No, seriously look into what we have done. Tell us where we can improve, or tell the world what is working for us. And you can never get a better example than Telangana, because we were under duress and distress. But then how we transformed, the positive interventions that we've made. I only gave you some 4 or 5 examples. That could be agriculture, that could be pensions. but there are many more. We almost have 252 programs that attend to various sections and sectors of the population. So I really do invite you. Please do come down. And one of my very favorite program is Dalit Bandhu program, because it addresses to the most oppressed section of the society. The idea is to uplift any Dalit family out of the poverty line. So there is a direct benefit transfer that is given, and this will be very interesting for you and economics students. Generally, when government give away a loan, even if it is 1 rupee, there are 100 conditions with it. This 1 rupee should be used in this particular way. This 1 rupee should be used, or you should show us how this 1 rupee is going to be paid back to us, etc. But this Dalit Bandhu program, where we give 10 lakh rupees to a Dalit family, we gave them so much freedom. We said, if you want to use this 10 lakh to pay your debt, pay it off. All right, from next day you start afresh. Or you want to divide it into 5 units, use 2 lakhs for this, use 3 lakhs for that, use 3 lakhs for this, you're free to do so. Or 4 people who get Dalit Bandhu, all of you can come together, take 40 lakhs, create a good industry with it, do something else. That freedom was given. So we grounded these projects, and the success rate that we are seeing, the wealth that the government could create for these families, and the permanent upliftment of these families above the poverty line. I believe this is something very groundbreaking. No government has ever done it. No government ever gave this kind of freedom to utilize the grant that is given to them. And this is only Telangana government that is given. And that I can proudly say is the Telangana model of governance. And ultimately, when we look at what all we have done, we gave our society a confidence to pick and choose what they can do, what they cannot do, where they want to go. If a person from a humble background wants to go study in UK, we are giving them scholarships. If they want to still continue with the traditional livelihood, we give them help from the government. We help them upskilling. Today, I am very proud to tell you that kids who have gone to do their IIM, IIT, they're coming back and training with us, because our government gives a entrepreneurship program, mentorship and finance to them. So they're coming back after IIT, IIM to the Telangana government, training, and we've trained more than 2,500 people like that, and we've created entrepreneurs. So there are many schemes. I can go on and on. I have a huge list, but end of the day, under a decade of self-rule and under the able leadership of a world-class intellectual, Telangana is still, recuperating, realigning. We are still rediscovering, because the pain that we have gone through, the suffering that we have gone through, the decades of neglect that we have gone through, the generational loss of opportunity to create wealth, to become a different people and a society that we have lost, we're still recuperating. So we're stabilized in this 10 years, but this is our springboard now. From here, we will again, jump back. We will have to achieve much more. Now I can say we can dare to dream much bigger dreams than this. And under the able leadership of KCR Garu, I believe we will continue to do so. And once again, in the growth, in the development of any state is the development of the nation. India is also growing. India will become much bigger. And with leaders like KCR, with models like Telangana, where that can be applied universally to the nation, to the world, I'm sure we will grow as a country, and we will be awesome, amazing. Thank you. Jai Telangana, Jai Bharat. Did I take more than half an hour?